Hello everyone, welcome. This is the 8 pieces of Brocade Qigong live stream, and this is lesson 1 of 6. So we'll start with some body method, and then we'll go on to a session where we'll follow along with the first few movements, and then we'll get into the bones of the choreography. So we need to learn how to squat using the hips versus squatting using the knees. And what I'll demonstrate is when we squat in all of Tai Chi and Qigong, we want to bring the weight back like we're about to sit on a chair. So by doing that, I'm going to push the knees forwards a bit, but most of the momentum comes from sitting back. So I'm actually hinging the knees. So all the knees are doing really is this, rather than the knees going so far forwards that I put all the weight on my knees, which isn't very structurally secure. One note to take is that the knees never go past the toes. So you want to find that position, if you had a ruler from here to here, where the knee doesn't go past that position. Which means from a standing posture, you can bring the knees slightly forwards as you sit back, but the knees mustn't do this. The hip squat comes from almost like a pushing into the inguinal crease or the groin here, which pushes us back. And now I'm sitting on a little stool behind me. My knees are up to the toes, and this is called a qua squat or a hip squat. And if I wanted to, I could go all the way down to the ground and maintain the knees as they are, but we don't need to do that. In this Qigong practice, the depth of the squat is up to you. For some people, it may be because of some hip immobility or injury that you may only be able to squat an inch or half an inch before raising up. For others who have more experience or more flexibility, you can squat a little bit lower and up. As long as you follow the principles of alignment and the method of hip squatting, doesn't matter how deep you squat or not. So knees align in the direction of the toes, feet are straight. The first thing that happens simultaneously is the knees go slightly forwards as I sink back. Pelvis becomes like a bowl, so I'm not arching my spine overly. So the lower back starts to fill as the S curve starts to reduce. The spine is upright in a column with all the organs over the pelvis, head over heart, heart over pelvis. And you'll feel pressure on the legs. And then as you raise up, what you're going to maintain is the pelvis like a bowl. So that means you're bringing the weight back to more the center of the feet. The pelvis raises up. I'm not locking my knees at the top though. I'm keeping a very, very soft bend, which looks like my legs are straight, but they're not. And in this posture, pelvis is still like a bowl, so I haven't perched my lower back. Spine is in a column over the pelvis. Knees are slightly soft, but what I'm doing is I'm lengthening from the knee to the hip, from the ankle to the knee, so I have this expansive lengthening. Not locked though, because you lose that connection. Then squatting again, the knees will go slightly forwards and you'll sink back and down, stabilizing the knees not past the toes, and the knees don't crowd in. So you want the knees following toes and knees up to the toes. Pelvis like a bowl, weight middle. So the fingers here would be slightly compressed between the thigh and the tummy. Lower back has been filled, and that means that the abdomen is slightly coming towards the lower back. Strong legs, strong ankles. Then raise up, keep the pelvis in the same posture, lengthen between ankle and knee, knee and hip without locking the legs. So you rise to your maximum lengthening without locking. And that's hips and knees at the same time. Sorry, excuse me, I have a tickle. Again. Knees go slightly ahead and the body weight goes down. Like you're sitting on a stool behind you. Raising up, keeping the pelvis in the same position. Maximum lengthening without locking. This makes sure that the knee is a weight transferring joint and not a weight bearing joint. It's not to say that you can't ever put your knees past your toes, but for beginners, these are our parameters to work in, our framework of safety. So if you put the knees over the toes, the knees become a weight-bearing joint, and we'd rather the weight transferred down through the body, through the center and the back of the knee, and then down to the foot, not over the top. We want our knees to build strength and not to get freaked out too much. So here I am squatting and then raising up. And feel free to send me a video. Those on catch up. As you're practicing, this is probably the most important skill you can develop. There's a few. This is one of the top ones, called the Tai Chi or Qigong squat, or hip squat, or qua squat. And this is the foundation of all movements in our 8 pieces of brocade. So all movements will have this expanding and compressing with that lower body motion. Okay, relax. Shake out if you need. So hopefully the hips are warm. One more key part is palm posture. So we hold our palms in a specific way when we're doing the whole Qigong routine. There are some key palm postures that we change into, but for the most part, we have what's called a tiger mouth, which is exactly the same principle as with the knees and the hips, is that you don't want to lock the hands at all. If I go onto the contrast of my jumper, you don't want to lock the fingers straight and you don't want the fingers relaxed and floppy. So can you expand and lengthen without locking and whilst maintaining a soft palm with a hollow center here? So there's a little dimple here. I'm not flattening the palm, I'm just slightly curving the palm. And it's called tiger's mouth because of this shape that we create. So the thumb is slightly apart. It's not in at all, it's slightly apart. Some of the movements, this will change, and I'll talk about each movement specifically. In silence. Thank you very much, class. Any questions, please let me know, and I look forward to seeing you in lesson 2.